गुड मॉर्निंग फ्रेंड्स। दोस्तों गुड मॉर्निंग। मैं आपके साथ बात करने वाला हूँ टुडे ऑन बांग्लादेश। एंड ये एक बहुत सैड वीडियो है। सैड इन द सेंस कि जो फाउंडिंग फादर्स ऑफ बांग्लादेश थे लाइक शेख मुजीबुर रहमान, दे वांटेड टू क्रिएट ए वंडरफुल पैराडाइज फॉर बंगाली मुस्लिम्स। बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली इस वक्त सिचुएशन ऐसी आ गई है दैट बांग्लादेश इज हेडिंग मोर एंड मोर टुवर्ड्स अनार्की एंड रूल ऑफ द तालिबान। वहां राइट्स खत्म हो रहे हैं माइनॉरिटीज के, and the Hindus there, which are the minorities, the major minorities, including Christians, are having a very tough time. And at the same time, Bangladesh is going on and threatening India with dire consequences. So I don't understand how a small country, which is not a power also of any significance, has the courage to make such comments against a nation like India, which is having a military strength of almost 20 times that of Bangladesh. Anyway, gentlemen, let's have a brief look at history. And the history of this is pretty sad as well, because Bangladesh was earlier part of Pakistan, and in 1947 it joined Pakistan and was known as East Pakistan. There was a Bengali leader called H.S. Sharwadi. He was a rabid Islamist, and he was the man who engineered mass killings of Hindus. And there was a time when the city of Calcutta was taken over by mobs and Hindus being hunted and killed. And this had to have a reaction, and the Hindus reacted, and the Muslims had a terrible time after that. And then, of course, Gandhi went to Calcutta. He stayed with Sharwadi in the same hut, and they made some sort of an agreement and had some peace. But the fact is, the seeds of blood and hatred against the Hindus has existed since 1947. But after 47, something else happened, because the Bengalis, who were the major constituent of East Pakistan, felt greatly discriminated by the West Pakistanis, who were basically Punjabis. And the Punjabis looked down on the Bengalis contemptuously, saying that they are black, they are dark-skinned, they have no height, they are not good fighters. I mean, they had all sorts of weird ideas. And when the agitation for Bengali rights cropped up in East Pakistan, the West Pakistanis were pretty sure that they'll crush this movement in no time. And Zulfikar Ali Bhutto has gone on record to say that these were small black men and they'll be sorted out in no time. In fact, the Pakistan Army commander in East Pakistan, that is the Eastern Command, General Niazi, once made a statement that he will change the nasl, yani the race of these Bengalis. He said, मैं इनकी नस्ल बदल दूंगा, क्योंकि ये जो औरतें हैं, they must have children from West Pakistanis, and Pakistan Army is the best bet for it. और ताकि इनकी नस्ल बदल जाए, यानी दे हैव अ डिफरेंट रेस, इस गोरे निकलेंगे एंड दे विल बी बेटर लुकिंग एंड ऑल दैट नॉनसेंस। और ये उसने एक पब्लिक मीटिंग में, एक जनरल कमांडर्स कॉन्फ्रेंस में ये कहा, और उस मीटिंग में एक बंगाली मेजर था, एंड दिस मैन वाज सो अपसेट एंड सैड कि इसने अपने आप को जाके गोली मार ली। He killed himself. Anyway, this was the start of the agitation and the insurrection, because Bengalis ने एक revolutionary guerrilla force बनाई जिसका नाम था मुक्ति बाहिनी, and this force began to fight the Pakistan army. पर वो अपने आप खुद नहीं लड़ सकते थे क्योंकि उनके पास ताकत नहीं थी. They didn't have any strength, and they were being aided by members of the Indian armed forces and the special forces of the Indian army, who began to operate in Bangladesh. तो उसका नतीजा हुआ ये कि पाकिस्तान आर्मी हार गई, जनरल नियाजी को कैप्चर कर लिया गया, ही वाज मेड ए POW, एंड तकरीबन 90,000 पाकिस्तानी सोल्जर्स ने हाथ खड़े कर दिए, वी गिव अप, और बहुत से पाकिस्तानी इसको मारा। और बाद में एक यूनाइटेड नेशंस ह्यूमन राइट्स कमीशन भी आई, और उन्होंने कैलकुलेट किया कि तकरीबन 2 लाख बंगाली गर्ल्स जो थी, लड़कियां जो थी, इनको प्रेग्नेंट कर दिया था पाकिस्तान आर्मी ने। आई डोंट थिंक ये बंगाली आजकल ये बात याद करना चाहते हैं। पर एक बात रहे कि बंगाल ब्रेक अवे जरूर कर गया वेस्ट पाकिस्तान पर बहुत सी एक माइनॉरिटी सिग्निफिकेंट माइनॉरिटी ईस्ट पाकिस्तान में जो बंगाली थी जिसके लीडर थे जमात पार्टी के दे फेवर्ड पाकिस्तान वेरी मच और उनको बहुत दुख हुआ कि हम पाकिस्तान से टूट गए तो वो कोई ना कोई तरीका बनाते रहे ताकि वो वापस पावर में आ जाएं और पाकिस्तान के साथ फिर से हाथ मिला लें इनको कोई कंसर्न नहीं था दे हैड नो कंसर्न दैट देयर वुमेन हैड अर्लियर बिकम कीप्स ऑफ द पाकिस्तान आर्मी इन फैक्ट इन द 71 वॉर in the trenches many of the Bengali girls were being kept nude in the trenches and the reason being that if they were given a sari they would hang themselves and kill themselves so they continued most of them conceived it's very sad but this precisely happened because Bengalis have forgotten all about it. Now you see the Jamaat's main leader has been released. His paper name is no point in repeating it here. This man has made some 5 more point program, and this has happened after Sheikh Hasina ran away from there. Now Sheikh Hasina जो थी was a very clever lady. वो इंडिया को प्ले करती थी against China. At the same time, she'd get all the benefits from India और इंडिया को सपोर्ट नहीं कर रही थी. I don't think she ever supported India and Kashmir. In fact, वो पाकिस्तान और दूसरे इस्लामिक देश मुल्कों के साथ मिलके they were always condemning India for human rights violations in Kashmir. That's also a fact. So net result of all this was that there was a very precarious relationship between Bangladesh and India. Even at that time, I have been to Dhaka and I have been all those areas, seen those areas. I was very sure that Bengalis, Muslims can never be friends of India. And I don't know how the Indian government, even when Modi was in power or at that time, Manmohan Singh was in power earlier and then Vajpayee, they ever thought that Bangladesh would be their great friend. It's not possible. In fact, what India created was a Frankenstein. If you ask my personal opinion, Indira Gandhi did a great mistake in creating Bangladesh. Because if he had not created Bangladesh, East Pakistan would have always been the Achilles heel of the Pakistan army. And a Damocles sword would have been hanging on the Pakistan state because they had a very weak link in East Pakistan, which was in fact rebellious and against the central authority. So Bangladesh should have been left to stew in its juice, but at that time, uh, I think the think tank with Indira Gandhi thought that it would be a good idea to break Pakistan. And finally, Pakistan, I think, in 71 broke away into two, and the state of Bangladesh is created. Now, last 54 years have elapsed. There are two groups in Bangladesh. One is a pro-Pakistan group led by the BNP party, the Bangladesh National Party, and then there's the Awami League, which is supposed to be secular, but then they call themselves the Islamic Republic still, and this is very sad. And there are, even when Sheikh Hasina was in power, we all know that the Hindus were being attacked a number of times, and I think during Sheikh Hasina's time also, the famous Kali temple in Dhaka was burnt. So even when Modi he took over, he was going hammer and tongs for friendship with Bangladesh. I couldn't understand what the logic of this man. Because Modi, as I told you, is a very poor judge of men. This is the same man who met the Chinese president 19 times and he couldn't gauge his mind. I mean, look at it. He met a man 19 times and there was the Galwan incident. And finally, Modi is left high and dry. And he had to give away almost 1,000 square miles of Indian territory to Pakistan, which the BJP denies it, but it's a fact. So, gentlemen, the point which I'm trying to make is that Bangladesh is a Frankenstein which is created by India, and India is paying the price for it. And the price is very terrible. Bangladesh is talking of different language. They are talking that we shall ask Pakistan, China to invade and attack India and occupy the chicken's neck so that they can break away the eastern region of India from the rest of India. And the Jamaat leaders are going around asking Madam Mamta Banerjee to revolt against the Indians and set up a separate Bengali state in the east. They have also made an appeal to the Sikhs that this is the time to ask for an independent Sikh state in Punjab. So they are also saying that the Muslims must start a guerrilla warfare like in Gaza against the Indians. against the Hindus. Now, if a country in your border can talk like this and get away with it, there's something wrong with the central leadership here. And now the man who is the prime minister, that is Muhammad Yunus, I think he's a bigoted individual. He's got that much of control. And during his time, hundreds and thousands of Hindus have been made homeless. Hundreds have been killed. Many of the women have been captured and, kept as captives, slaves, go home and sit down. And the Indian government and the Modi, as usual, is silent. You know that famous movie by Meena Kumari, Main Chup Rahungi? So Modi is also Main Chup Rahunga. I mean, what's his plan of action? Indirect way, he's trying to say we're going to pressurize Bangladesh and then look for friendship again with Bangladesh, like with the Maldives. And Maldives are not going to be a friend, they're basically Muslims. And let's accept the fact that the Muslims of the subcontinent are different from the Arabs. The Arabs can be friends with us, with the Hindus, but not the continental Muslims, because this is very, very long and tortuous historic relationship between Hindus and Muslims who've been fighting each other for 1,000 years. Right from the 10th century onwards, I think, when Muhammad Qasim came and then Ghori came and then Ghazni came, all of them, Babur came, and ultimately the Muslim roots spread all over India. If you look at the map of India just before the arrival of the British, you can see that I think 90% of the rulers in India were Muslims over a population which was 90% Hindu. I mean, how can you have such a dichotomy? Because the Hindus didn't have the guts, and that is the hard fact of the whole thing. And they accepted Ji Hazuri of the Muslim rulers. So this has gone into the brain of not only the West Pakistanis, also into the East Pakistanis now. Sheikh Hasina, of course, has fled the country, but that was the time when the Indian army was expected to intervene. I thought Modi will do something and restore Sheikh Hasina back to power. He didn't do anything and kept sitting on his haunches. He didn't make any statement also condemning the Bengalis. And in fact, ambassador and Modi himself congratulated Muhammad Yunus on taking over as prime minister. I don't know why you have to congratulate a man who's presiding over the killing of Hindus. I mean, it's very sad, but this is precisely what's happened. That just shows a lack of courage, something blood and iron. A man like Bismarck or somebody will do. Modi's got so many faults. I think we can make which got covered up because he had some initial success in the first 10 years, but then now people realize that in 10 years he bloody did zero, nothing. Well, that's another aspect. We talked about it earlier in another video of mine. But as far as Bangladesh is concerned, the situation is very, very clear. The entire country has become a basket case, a waste paper basket case, and the men who are responsible for it is the Americans and the Pakistanis. Now, the Americans, as you know, at every stage have burned their fingers. They burned their fingers in Afghanistan when they created the Taliban with the help of Pakistan to fight the Russians, and ultimately Taliban turned against them, and there was a famous 9/11 incident where the trade towers were blown away. I'm not sure, but the next time they won't be targeting the Pentagon. Last time they had targeted the Pentagon, but the plane didn't reach and it crashed in the middle of fields. And then came that famous retreat from Afghanistan. We all know about it. And earlier also, right after, even when General Eisenhower was the president of America, they retreated in Afghanistan. They couldn't win in Korea. And in Iraq, they are persona non grata. They don't know what the hell is happening there. And Iran is growing hot and cold. They don't have any diplomatic relations with Iran for the last 50 years. And at the same time, they're not able to wipe out Iran. Iran is close to a nuclear weapon. And they failed in Bangladesh badly. Because now they will be realizing that what they have created is a Frankenstein. Bangladesh is now on the cusp of a violent Islamic state. And it is going to be worse than the Taliban, which is there in Afghanistan. At least in Afghanistan, the Taliban has become a little respectable and they're not doing too many atrocities, too many killings at the moment. And they're looking to India for friendship. And they are going to fight Pakistan because they don't recognize the Durand line at the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan because that's a creation of the British, a relic of the Raj, an imperialistic line. So, Bangladesh, of course, the border has been demarcated, and the Taliban is going to fight Pakistan. They don't recognize the Durand line at the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan because that's a creation of the British, a relic of the Raj, an imperialistic line. So, Bangladesh, of course, the border has been demarcated, But the only way Bangladesh can be taught a lesson is not just by economics, because there'll be so many countries to bail them out, let me tell you. Even if Raymond, as I'm told, is going to withdraw the factories from Bangladesh, fair enough, you're going to stop power supply to them. That's what Adani is saying. And you stop trade with them, you won't send them cotton, all that. But Bangladesh, they have retaliated and saying they won't give the hills of fish to India. So it's not that they're buckling down. They're going to ultimately get the support of the Islamic world, and that will be Saudi Arabia is one of the big countries. Even Iran will come and give them money and something like that, and they'll be striving. So the only way you can really see that Bangladesh is sorted out is by a military attack, a bombing. After all, if you go through the writings of Brute Michel and the other famous writers like Gulli the Hoot on air warfare, India has all the aces as far as Bangladesh is concerned. Bangladesh Air Force is a big zero, and we own the skies. That means we have a favorable air situation over Bangladesh, and the Indian Air Force have a ball just flying over the place and bombing the Bengali soldiers. And it's about time India used that power. I couldn't understand what the Indian Army is supposed to be doing, the third largest army in the world. Is it just meant to do parade on Republic Day? Because they haven't been given a free hand even in Kashmir. And the result, you have seen what's happening. Not a single Hindu Pandit has gone back to the valley. What's the use? 10 years of BJP rule and it's not peace. Almost 25, 30 Indian brave hearts have died in the last 1 month in Jammu. And people like Farooq Abdullah and Sheikh Abdullah are continuing, Omar Abdullah, sorry, are continuing their tirade against India. They're even talking of bringing back Article 370 and all that. The Muslims are getting violent in the country. Owazi is exhorting them to do something special. What is that something special? I don't know. And there are so many people, but there are strong men like Yogi who have been sidelined. And then I think Amit Shah, the Home Minister, he's the big weakling. You can't have a fatso man sitting there, corpulent looking, as a Home Minister who doesn't speak a sentence of English clearly, and you expect him to go and take action on these issues. He hasn't done anything so far to merit it. Even he had been talking about crushing the Naxalite menace in central India. That is 10 years back. So 10 years and one should ask me what's happened. What happened to that promise, man? Nothing happened. The present insurrection by the Maoists is still on. And now what about the crisis in Manipur? Now they've been using drones. From where those drones came? Nobody seems to know. Nobody seems to say. Could have come from Bangladesh, could have come from Israel, could have come from everywhere. But basically the hand of America is there because America doesn't realize what they have done. They have created a state which is going to be ultimately a thorn for America itself. America lost everywhere, as you know, whether it's Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, and even Pakistan. Look at the amount of money they invested in Pakistan, and Pakistan is towing the Chinese line. And what are they using? Even now they're ready to give them tranches of billions of dollars from the IMF and the World Bank. What for are you giving them? They're just towing your line. They just do something here and there and claim they are part of it. I think it's only Donald Trump who realized the perfidy of Pakistan, and what he did, he made it public, but unfortunately he got defeated and had to go home. So that's another story. But as far as Bangladesh is concerned, I don't think there's going to be another election now, not for another 10 years, 20 years. And what India is planning with Sheikh Hasina, how dare a country like Bangladesh tell the Indians to keep Sheikh Hasina's mouth shut? I mean, they can't talk like that. And now they have gone and said that we will take over the chicken's neck. Have they got the strength? But they can talk. And one of their generals recently said that please don't show your back to the enemy. Now which enemy are they talking of? Not Burma. Burma's got a small border about only 60 miles with Bangladesh. So they're talking basically of India. And they have a very small army, but they can't fight. I'm pretty sure about it. And once you control the skies, the battle is over. But the more you delay, the inaction means that the world gets a chance to know that India is weak. So when you do something, they're going to come after you and say, stop it. The time was when Sheikh Hasina was fleeing Bangladesh. That was the time when the Indian army should have landed around the presidential palace, the paratroopers, taken over the defense of Sheikh Hasina and kept her there till our columns and artillery had moved into Bangladesh and had made their presence felt. The Indian paratrops last time, if you remember, in 71, which led to the surrender of the Pakistan army, was the heli-borne attack on the Tangail cantonment, and the fierce fight that took place led to almost 4,000 Pakistanis dead, and that led to the surrender of Pakistan. So the cantonment at Dhaka could have easily been taken over by the Indians, and once that had been done, the whole of Bangladesh would have been with us. But nobody thought about it, or rather, Modi didn't think about it, and all he did was to just keep silent and look like, that Sphinx you have, that monument in Egypt. I don't think any other country would have tolerated. The Americans tolerate such a thing close to their windshield. Look at the way they kept bottled Castro in his nest. They almost got him killed 20 times. The Americans didn't allow even Mexico their own free will. And many of the Central American states, under the thumb of the Americans, they don't allow it. You have the Monroe Doctrine, and they put into effect that the Americans is our purview, our home ground. And we don't have any doctrine, nothing. And even now, we were happy with small stops from Sheikh Hasina, like running a train from Calcutta to Agartala. What the hell? It's not required. Don't take these benefits, because I don't think whether the train is running now or no. And then there's a bus service to Dhaka. Why? You don't require all these things. India has to act. And we must remember that age-old saying, faint heart never won fair woman. What does it mean? So if you're going to have a faint heart, you're going to be nowhere. And like that famous poem Lochinvar by Walter Scott, when the father-in-law says to Lochinvar, do you come in peace or do you come in war? So that is the answer we have to give. We don't come in peace, we come in war. And Bangladesh effectively should be colonized. But there's no question of integrating with India, because you'll be getting 180 million hungry Bengalis who don't want to do any work, who got no natural resources, and who are subject to perennial floods. So gentlemen, let's be very clear, the things which are happening are not conducive to India. We unfortunately have gone and created a Frankenstein, and Frankenstein doesn't go that easily, mind you. And I wish we could be something like Samson, invincible. And see, that's not going to happen. Not with the Modi in power. You need a man who is dynamic, someone like Yogendra Yogi, Adityanath Yogi, my apologies. This type of man who can take forward. But then we have Rahul Gandhi, and he's been towing the line of the Americans. The Americans tell him, okay, Mr. Rahul, you say this about the Khalistanis or the Sikhs. He says, goes and parrots it like a parrot. And then the Sikhs take heart. Pannu starts making statements based on Rahul Gandhi's stupidity. Well, we got no end to such people. And now the question is, what next? The next is the Indians have bungled up the whole thing very badly, and now they're thinking that they'll bring Bangladesh to their knees by stopping the electricity and this thing, that thing. Possibly they could. But do you think they're going to take away the hatred in their hearts about India? That is the question to have. That means this hatred is going to erupt any time later. And India at that time must be clapping their hands and saying, oh, look, we brought Bangladesh back into our camp. What the hell? They'll never be in your camp. They'll be there so long as there's the benefits. If they don't have the benefits, they'll come back at you like a vicious, wild dog. So, gentlemen, I think now the course of action is very clear. India has to act, because if you have going to be like Humpty Dumpty sitting on a wall, you know what happened to Humpty Dumpty? He fell down, broke his crown. And all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. Same thing with Mr. Narendra Modi. Well, gentlemen, I think I made a pretty long video. I hope you like it. Share it with your friends. I look forward to more interaction with you. In the meanwhile, I'll say goodbye and God bless. Jai Hind.